Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Half and Half Comics. Today we are moving on to Vengers 6. And so let's go ahead and jump right into it. We start out with a scene of Johnsville sign up on the mount, and I like that it says in Johnsville above it.
I think this is the first time we specified where these adventures took place at, so this is the first establishing shot of Johnsville.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. Yeah, that is true. Now that you say that, I haven't noticed it. So our next scene then is an explosion out the back of a building. And it's out of the back of a bank. But above it is Aflock business, so apparently they share a building together.
They're not doing a very good job, obviously.
No, they've got the police right above them. But so from the explosion, we see Spiderbot, and he's got a truck behind the place, and he's throwing his money in there, and then the truck speeds off, and it does one of those dramatic scenes, like where the screen just shows the eyes to show that he's serious.
He's very dramatic. He's got them bloodshot eyes.
Yeah, they are bloodshot.
He's focused, super prepared. And as the truck goes screeching away, another vehicle zooms out of nowhere, and inside it is Airman and Powerman, ready to take on this villainous villain who is committing villainous villainy. So they zoom off a completely convenient ramp that's been placed on the back of a truck, and it catches them just behind Spider-Bot's truck.
And so a big saw comes out of the front of their car and starts cutting open the back doors to the van. And then you can see inside of the van there's all this money back there. And from the driver's seat, the Spider-Bot starts screaming. Apparently he wasn't watching where he was driving. And he drives right into a carnival. And his van hooks onto the Ferris wheel, one of the carriages that you ride in. And the carriage says Johnsville on it. We've snuck that in there twice now.
It's already misspelled.
Yeah. Yeah. The Ferris wheel goes around and it just launches the van out into the air.
I'd like to point out that the Avengers car is just missing. It was behind the truck for a second, and then it just completely disappeared after it cut the hole in the back of the truck.
Yeah, they probably had to slam on the brakes to avoid the Ferris wheel.
Probably. That's what I'd assume. The truck, after getting launched from the Ferris wheel, goes flying into the electric building, and they conveniently have a giant light bulb on top of their building, and it zaps the truck. We cut to somebody watching TV, probably a really dramatic, cutting-edge television program, and this is probably the culmination of, seasons of hard work and writing, and this viewer is finally prepared to find out who Karen's real mother is, but the power goes out, and he will never know. And then we have another woman who is getting her hair dried by the goofiest looking hair dryer I've ever seen in my life. And because there's no more electricity to power the hair dryer, her hair just instantaneously turns puffy. How unfortunate.
I like that she doesn't have to hold the air dryer.
Yeah.
It just sits on the table.
One of them new Japanese hair dryers dries your hair for you. And then we have another establishing shot of just the truck being electrocuted again before we get the words blackout.
And then the whole city of Johnsville loses all of its power. And it's night now, so everything is just dark.
How'd it turn night so quickly?
Yeah, at the very beginning, the sun was out. Yeah, I guess this has been a long chase.
Yeah, I guess so. Or he was just being electrocuted there for 8 hours.
For a long time. Well, eventually it's enough that it just launches the van up into the air, charged from the electricity.
That's what electricity does. It sends things flying.
Shoots him up. So he's just now all upset, waving his fist in the air, Spider-Bot, as the van is flying up in the sky.
It's like, I don't even want the money anymore. This has just been a bad experience. I'm sick of it.
So as the van is flying up, the back doors fly open, and all the money starts pouring out. And it's like it's raining money, and all the people in Johnsville are out in the streets trying to reach for it, grab all they can.
And then, finally, the Vengers showed back up. They took a little lunch break. That chase scene must have been too boring for them, but they show up just in time so Bearman can pull out the Avengers vacuum and suck all the money back up. And we see Buck, who has amassed quite a sizable load of cash, and he's going, "My money!" as it's being taken away from him forcibly. And then we do another shot, and we see all the money that's being collected in the car. And then they hit the gas and they just peel out of there. You see the smoke skirting up on those back wheels. They're like, "We got the money, run. Take the money and run." Well, apparently, the cyborg guy saw them take the money. And so now they need to get that money. So he's telling his henchmen, he goes, "Henchmen, we have to stop that car."
And apparently he sees this from the top of a building. And so his henchman, one of them shoots a grappling hook across the street to the top of another building. It hooks on, the henchman walks out onto the cord, and from his weight, once he gets to the middle, it stretches him down just in time to drop to Bearman and Powerman's car. So he drops onto the top of that now, and it cuts back over to Spiderbot, screaming as the getaway van is just still flying through the air. But it's reached its peak and now is starting to head back down. And of all places, it lands in some green quicksand.
You know, Michigan and its quicksand. One of the things it's known for. The henchman is now on top of the car, and he has a bomb in his hand. He places the bomb on the car, and then he makes a leap for it to escape. He must have survived, I'm assuming. We don't see what he lands on. Maybe just tucked and rolled on the ground. But we see the countdown, and it's got 51 seconds left, and it's going beep, beep, beep. And Powerman opens up the hatch, and he's fighting against the turbulence and the wind, trying to grab this bomb.
And he finally grabs it. There's 10 seconds on the clock. Now it's gotten down to 5, and he chucks it off, and he throws it right towards Spiderbot, who's climbed onto the top of his getaway van, sitting in the quicksand, and it explodes right there on him. And so Spiderbot now is drowning in the quicksand. He's like, "No!" And then he just switches. He's like, "Oh well." And then he goes under. He's kind of muffled. He says one last
Guess
thing.
I'll die.
Yeah, pretty much.
He didn't really work that hard to get out. He struggled for a little bit, and then he's like, "Oh well."
He kind of just gave up back when the van got electrocuted.
Yeah.
He was like upset in the van, just like you said, this isn't even worth it.
Do you think his heart was even in this robbery to begin with? Did it feel like he was just kind of like, whatever happens, happens?
It really doesn't seem like he was. No, his heart was not in this.
This was like a Friday afternoon thing, and he's like, "I'm really just ready for the weekend."
Pretty much.
Meanwhile, back at the electric company, the light bulb is broken, and we see Bob in his civilian disguise. He works at the electric company, apparently, and he flips a switch, which turns back on all the power. We cut back to the man who was watching the TV. The show's over now, but he's still happy that he got his power back. And then the lady with the goofy hair dryer is just upset because her hair is ruined. And then we see the establishing shot of the secret lair, and I think it's spelled correctly this time.
Bearman's looking up at one of their big screens, and it says that Spiderbot is gone. They're like, "That's a wrap on Spiderbot. We just watched him drown."
Did they, though? Where did they get this information? I didn't see any other Avengers there to watch him drown.
I don't know, someone. The eye in the sky.
Big Brother's always watching.
Maybe they had like some little app with all their local villains, and they just clicked on him and gone. He's done.
Aw, dang.
But we cut back over to the quicksand where Spiderbot, his 2 arms are the only thing left out, and he's able to move them still. And he's trying to maybe pull his way out of the quicksand, but in the background is a skid loader, and it's scooping up the quicksand.
It's day now again, by the way. It was day, then it was night, now it's day again.
Yeah, nice catch. So this has been, we're going on 24 hours maybe. He was under there a long time. So 2 hours later,
So 26 hours now.
he has, I guess, been broken out of this quicksand, but sand has hardened around him, so his legs are out, top of his head and his arms, and he's still muffled. Just trying to walk around is a challenge, and he slips right on a hill
Oh!
and just starts sliding down this big hill.
And he just falls conveniently into the back of a cement truck. How unfortunate. The cement truck drives, it goes to a house, and it starts pouring the cement. We see Spider-Bot's hands are sticking out of the cement now. Second time he's been buried alive within the past day. And we see Carol, and she's like, "Thanks for pouring my patio." And we see Infinity Man, and he's pouring the patio, and he's like, "You're welcome." Apparently he has a background in some construction. We see Spider-Bot, and his arms are sticking out of the cement again, shaking.
So this is the first time, and I think the last, that we see Carol's house.
It's a pretty cool house.
Yeah,
Wish I had a house like that. It's like the most
that triangle
generic
roof.
house you can think of.
So underground, we can see Spider-Bot, or under the cement, and he's thinking the cement's not dry yet. So he crawls out of it, and now is like this slime monster, making its way from under the ground, out from under the ground. And someone sees it and screams, and he says, "I can't walk." He's either saying, "I can't talk" or walk. Probably talk. It's really mumbled. But in the background, a helicopter's coming, and it makes its way over to Spider-Bot and picks him up. And it appears like it's the other bad guys who have come to pick him up, and they take him to their bad guys' base. And you can hear like some hammering and machine work. And now we see Spider-Bot with his cement body. His legs have wheels now, and he has some propellers coming out of his suit. So they've taken a bad situation and tried to make the best out of it. They've made him a new suit.
This is like the end of Revenge of the Sith right here.
Yeah,
Same energy.
pretty much, except he likes the suit. He's got a little grin.
It's like, he's taking advantage of the fans, and he's skating around now, and he's like, "Wee!" But unfortunately, there's stairs in his way, and he's like, "Oh no!" Then it says, "Much later." Guess we must have unspokenly said no Batman transitions, because I don't think there's a single one in this comic.
No, I looked, and this is the first comic that we did without a transition.
Yeah. But we just have these boring letters instead. It
Mhm.
says much later, and we see an established shot of the hospital. And now he's in the hospital. He's on life support. He's got the bags, the bag of blood, and everything with him. And then it's like, anyways.
And it just shows the outside of the hospital again. I don't know why I did that.
We had to make sure for a fact that we were indeed in the hospital.
Yeah, we want you to know. So now someone runs into the room, and it's Mr. Toad and his gang. And
We're back.
they're like, "Hey, they're back." And they come in and lift his hospital bed as a breakout, I think. Or maybe they try to kill him because they throw his whole hospital bed out the window.
You're not surviving that easily.
They apparently want him out. They throw him down, and luckily the hospital bed just breaks his fall. And now, they must have been trying to help him, because they come out now and throw the bed in the back of the truck. The getaway truck.
At another getaway truck. And you see John and Carol back together again, and they say, "Watch out!" And the truck comes flying by, and it smacks them, and now they're on the front of the windshield. Their faces are all messed up. The frog's driving, the bug's in the passenger seat, and they go flying off yet another cliff, and they scream, "Ah!"
And the Spider-Bot, he's asleep in his hospital bed as it's falling.
Must have been a good driver's if he could fall asleep.
Probably on morphine. Just slept through all of this. Anyways, they all hit the ground with a huge crash. Toadman is running on one of the tires as it continues to roll down the hill. Just about to run over the snake, which the snake is freaking out because he's already been run over before in one of the comics.
He's got bad luck.
Yeah. Spider-Bot, he's awake now. He slams the ground really hard and bounces off, and all the villains at least, you don't see John and Carol yet. They land in a big net that flies up into the air, and they're all hanging in that. And there's a prospector now, sleeping in his chair, and the trap going off rings a little bell. It wakes him up, and he's like, I've caught something. And then he has this really confused look on his face, and he sees what he's caught.
Live Tucker reaction. He's bewildered. He's shocked at what he's seen. And what does he see? He sees all the villains stuck in a net, and they're yelling, "Ouch, stop! Stop it!" And then we see John and Carol hiding behind a bush, watching this happen. The villains still saying no. And then the prospector whips out his shotgun, and he's about ready to blast these guys out, put their lights out. But then John and Carol come out from behind the bush, now in their superhero attire, and they say, "Excuse me, we'll take it from here." And that's the end.
I noticed that in this comic, the villains just defeat themselves.
They do whatever they want.
The Vengers really didn't do anything.
Yeah.
And they didn't have to.
No. This comic is all over the place. We don't know how much time has passed. Avengers kind of start stuff and then they give up halfway. As do the villains. I feel like Spider-Bot was just trying to do one last hurrah here because he was pretty okay with him just dying in the quicksand. He gave up, didn't take much. He gave up like twice during his whole plot. So I mean, I don't think anyone was feeling it today.
At least Mr. Toad and his gang, they didn't want it to be the end for him. They tried to get him out of this. But they also almost killed him.
They almost died for a third time in this one.
Yeah. So what would you rate this comic, Clay?
3 out of 10.
I actually like this one. Might be my favorite one that we've read so far. I don't know, it's just kind of
mid. I would like to point out the scene with Infinity Man pouring the concrete.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've always imagined Infinity Man as like a construction worker in his like non-superhero job.
Right.
So this is kind of like the first and really only hint that that's what he does for his outside of superheroism work. This is where we see it right here.
Yeah, I like that it goes that far back. That was his thing.
He works at a Home Depot. He's just helping out right now.
And I noticed that this is some Han Solo mix.
Yeah, for you people who are uneducated, in the glorious town we live in, we have Han mix, which is HAHN, but I thought I was so cool and quirky by calling it Han Solo mix, like the goofy guy from the Star Wars movies, because I'm such a quirkster.
Nice touch.
Yeah.
All right.
Is that all the essential information we've conveyed today?
All right, so next week we'll be going over number 7, and this is the first comic, the first Avengers comic that has a title.
Really? What?
Yes.
Oh my god.
I think all of them after this one will have a title. So, title of next week is Flying Cows.
Oh boy. Does this mean we're actually getting to structured stories now? Maybe.
Sounds like it.
We're trying to actually establish some sort of story.
We're getting a little better. This last comic, we didn't jump around and flip-flop throughout the story.
That's right. We actually had a coherent common factor that remained throughout the whole comic, I'd say.
Yeah, so we're slowly getting better.
Slowly but surely.
Little steps.
You say this every week. They're not that bad. They're getting better. That's all for today.
Thanks for listening.
We can't guarantee we'll have another one out next week. We'll just see how life happens. But whatever happens, we love you all. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, or it'll really hurt my feelings if you don't think about that. You really want to do that to me?
We'll see.
We'll see. Bye.